Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Georgiana with Expressions Craft Studio, and we are kind of switching gears a little bit today. We've been doing a lot of quilling, and yesterday I'd realized, and I didn't count the days, but Christmas is coming. And I know some of you aren't ready to hear that. I'm not ready to hear that, although my husband and I don't really have a lot of people to do for. But nobody wants to hear that Christmas is coming. So here we are toward the middle of September, and really that just leaves you like 3 months. And so I decided it was time to start making some gift card holders. Now I haven't really made any Christmas ones yet, but that is on my playlist. So I've kind of got a variety here. Now this was the first one I made. Actually, this wasn't the first one I made. This was the first one I made. And it's a hybrid currently, but I am going to set it up to do it strictly on the Cricut, except for this little embellishment here. This is part of our last series where we were quilling, which we're not done with yet. We will be going back to that, but it was on my desk and it just matched the flowers and the roses color so beautifully that I couldn't pass it up. So, but because I messed it up, I do need to fix this one, and I plan on doing that today, so it should be ready for you by the time you see this video. But it's a little gift card holder, and I'm not advertising for Bass Pro, it's just the one I have on my desk. So this one is one that I just kind of haphazardly took some scraps and pieced together. And you can see it does fit your standard gift card. And I did look that up to make sure I was using the right size, because, you know, not everything's the same, but this is a standard size gift card. So basically I just I did a couple folds, which then I had to adjust because I didn't do them correctly, but like I said, I'm going to correct it on the Cricut design space file, which I will share with you. You could add another butterfly or something here if you wanted. There is room to write a message back here if you like. It is kind of dark on this particular one, but you could with a black pen write a message. And then of course the back and front are decorated. I didn't decorate the flap because I'd made it too long and had to cut a bunch off, and I actually had a little cutaway here to just tuck it under, but I didn't position that correctly either, so that didn't work out, which is why we have our belly band. And with the belly band it works great. So you can look for this file in my group or my page. I'm trying to put more stuff on the page and less in the group, so I'll put it on the page, and it'll have the link in it once I get it completely ironed, all of the mistakes ironed out. So this is actually a Cricut file, and I just am using up my scraps here. This is some vellum stickers that I had. I was just kind of playing around, but you can see the credit card fits nicely here. Now this one actually comes with this hang tab hole. You could take that out of there. Just go into your contour and eliminate it if you don't want it. There's no reason to have it there, and it actually interferes with the gift card once it's in there. I did write on the back using the pen. This is one of my personal fonts, so it's not available in Design Space. I will, if I think of it, I will look up the name of it and put it in the comments below. But I had the pen write it out. Now the problem is, even though I used the smoother side of this paper, the other side is pretty bumpy, pretty textured, and so it didn't print very clearly, didn't draw the lines very clearly. It's not great, so do be careful when you're selecting your paper if you're going to write on it. Print and cut's also an option, which if I weren't using scraps is what I would have done. You know, stamping is also a nice option. I do have a to and from stamp that's considerably smaller that I could use, and then you could decorate this however you want with stamps or die cuts, ephemera, whatever. But you can see the card fits in that one as well. So this is, I also took this and turned it this way with the slots over here. Like I said, you can remove this. It would be at the top here, and I'll go into the file and show you all that. But this is one I kind of came up with basically, actually, I didn't come up with it. I used this, and then I changed the hole. So it's not this big slotted hole here. I just contoured that out and added my own round hole in because I thought it was a little less intrusive and not really necessary. I'm not selling these. I'm not hanging them in a shop or anything. So they really don't need the holes, and that's something to consider when you're making them. You know, if you're going to be doing a show and you want to hang them up on a display, then you might want that. But if you're not, just take that out of there. And then you could even size that down a bit. Again, I used my pen, Cricut pen, to write on the back, and it's still not the best writing, but because this paper's smoother, it is better. And on this one, these two are actually the same, but I forgot the bigger piece on this one. So it's just the front and the back glued together, whereas this one has front, back, and a middle. And again, I used the Cricut pen just because I'm not doing the print and cut right now, but you very easily could. And there we go, I have our front again. So this is all just using scraps, and because these pieces are so small, this is a great way to use up your scraps. So I'm going to go in, and give me a second, and I'm going to switch us over to Design Space. I'm just trying to get this back on there. I made it a little bit snugger than I needed to, but isn't it cute? I just love it. So we're going to go back into Design Space, and I'll show you kind of how I did what I'm talking about changing out the hole and stuff. So hold on just a second. All right, so these are the files from Cricut, or the file was right here, this one right there. And I added the text to the back. I added this additional piece and contoured out the loops here that hold the card, and did the text on the back of it. You don't have to do that if you're not using a color that's so dark in the background that you can't write on it, you know, that you can't see text on, then just eliminate this piece here altogether. But after I did it, I realized that, like I said, the card completely covered up the hang tab, you know, the slotted hole, whatever you want to call it. So I just kind of stretched everything out to make it fit the card, and I made a few fake gift cards over here just for me. Let me bring that to the front, just so I could test my sizing. And I basically just made sure it fit right in there with a little bit of slack, so it wasn't going to be too tight. And by slack, I mean I've got these extra, or this little bit sticking out from the cutout for the part that holds the card in place, sticking out on each side. I will leave that in the file too if y'all want it. If not, just you know, hide it. So I stretched it out to make sure it fit, and again I created this other piece for the back and wrote on it. Don't have to do that if you don't want to. Did I even print one of those out, or cut one? I mean, no, I didn't, because I didn't really like the big slotted hole there. So then I went over and I changed it to this. This is essentially the same exact file, this one in blue, as this one that we just looked at, except I changed the hole. I just made it a round hole instead of the slotted hole. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. And the first one I did is down here. So I'm just going to print or cut this one again, check my measurements, and then I'll post it. So this one, I kept this one here without changing it yet because I wanted you to see how I do it. Now some of you may already know this, but for those of you that don't, I wanted to show you how I changed the slotted hole to the round hole. Or I'll even just show you how to take it out of there. So on this one, we're going to select these two pieces. Now they are currently grouped together, so I'm going to find them over here in my layers panel, and I'm going to go into the lighter colored one, which is the front one, and I'm going to contour, and I'm just going to tell it to take that out of there. And this one, if you're looking for it in Design Space, it's the one that said Merry Christmas. I didn't want to cut that out. I figured I'd add whatever I wanted to it. So if that helps you find it, that's the one I was looking for. or that's the one I used if you're looking for it. So anyway, we contoured that out of the pink, and we're going to go ahead and contour it out of the background in the red as well. So we've selected the red layer, and we're going to hit our contour button down here on the bottom right, and we're going to select that slotted tab and cut it out. So now let me ungroup them. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Let's delete that. Let's select it again. Let's see, and ungroup. And you can see I've removed that hole from both of them. So no hole. So in this one we're basically going to do the same thing. So before I do that, I want to grab this circle here. I want to move it to the top. Bring to front. That way I can grab it a little easier. And I'm just going to kind of position it. Let's zoom in a little bit. Or a lot. I like to zoom in a lot. We're just going to kind of roughly position it right there where that one is, and then we'll take this and we'll select both. Okay, let me speak more clearly. We're going to select the circle that's going to be our cut, and we're going to select our background cut or piece, whatever, with our message on it. And now I'm going to come up to a line and do center horizontally. And it moved it just a smidge, which is good because I had it pretty close. So then we're going to go down here and select the pink layer again, because that's really the only layer in this one. And because we've got stuff attached, we need to select this arrow to open that up. And we're going to now select this layer with our writing on it, and we're going to hit contour again down here in the bottom right. And we're just going to take that hang tab slot out of there, slotted tab, whatever you want to call it, and there you go. So now we want to select the circle and the pink piece, and because we've got this group together, this writing, this text on this piece here, we're going to have to undo that. So let's do detach, and then we can select what's going to be our whole and this background piece, and we're going to slice. And you hold your control button down. Again, I know many of you know this, but for those that don't, hold your control button down when you're selecting both of them so that they will both be selected. And then you're going to hit slice. And then you can delete that. And actually I'm going to keep that in case I need it for something else. That way they're all the same size. So then we're going to move this piece to the back, and we're going to attach all of this again so it's one piece. That way your writing will be where you want it to be when it cuts. So let's go in and look at this in the Make It. This might be kind of messy because of the way I've chosen the colors, but we'll see here. Alright, so you can see this one has no hole in it at all, and this one has the round, and that's the one we just changed. So it's pretty easy, as you can see. It's not complicated. I will say that the other difference that I can think of off the top of my head is, let me zoom back out a little bit, is that instead of using this cut, which I'll show you how to make that if you don't find this file and you just want to make it on your own, or if you don't have Cricut access, because a lot of this stuff is for access members only. The way I did it down here was I just used this half circle. Let me zoom in and scroll over. This piece right here, I just used this shape in the shapes menu that's at the very bottom, and it's on that second row from the bottom. It's called open-ended circle, and it works just fine. It doesn't have to be thick. Let me get like this. But if you like that look, I'll show you real quickly how to make that as well. So let's just come down here. Well, it might not work because you probably put the pieces up top. Oh, no, it did. All right, so we need 2 of these. So we're going to add another one. We're going to duplicate it right here, or you can use your keyboard shortcuts. And depending on how thick you want it, I'm going to change the color here just so it will show up better. Depending on how thick you want your piece to be is how big you'll make this center or top layer. I think that's kind of big, a big, you know, a width there. I think that's still kind of big. So let's do that. That might be a little small. Okay. So now you want to select both. Again, hold down your whatever keys. You want to select both, and then you're going to go align and center. And now, because they're both still selected, you can hit slice. And that gives you the round portion. So now you're going to go into, I don't want images, I want shapes. And just pick something with a straight edge. Yeah, I usually use a square, but you can use anything. Kind of try to find the center wherever you want to do that. And then you're going to select your straight edge, which is in my case a square, and your circle, and you're going to again slice. And that gives you this piece here, which, if we scroll back up and over, sorry, maybe if I zoom out it'll be faster. I'll get there eventually. Okay, so that's very similar to that. And we can get it a little bit closer in size. Now you can see I didn't make it as thick as the one that was already there. But that, again, I explained to you how to do that. Just make your top circle or your, you know, one circle that much smaller than the other, and that'll get that for you. That look that you might be wanting to achieve. So I think that's all we needed to work on. I'm going to be making a lot more of this. I will be making some for Christmas. My sister gives a lot of gift cards out at Christmas, so she could probably use some of these. Yeah, so anyway, this is the file. Like I said, I will put it out there for you. And I'd like to know what you think. I mean, these are very simple, very basic gift card holders. You can make them as fancy as you want or as simple as you want. It's really up to you. Let's see, let's go back to our work surface. So you can see, even though this one is 3 layers, I only used 2 layers on this one. That was an accident, but again, it worked out all right. I could have went back at any time and cut the middle layer. I just decided I didn't really need it. I used pretty thick cardstock anyway. I'd say it was probably a medium cardstock, and glued those two together, and it's pretty hefty. So, you know, you've got options here, lots of options for the upcoming season, or for birthdays, anniversaries. You know, probably nobody graduating right now since it's September, but anything you can think of really that you would give a gift card for, you can customize these to make them look good. And like I said, we will be making some more. These were just simple. This was one I played with first. It actually ended up being the fanciest, but these are ones that are you know, just flat layers, so they're not going to take up a lot of space. This one's a little bulkier, especially since we put the quilled butterfly on the front, but I do think it's darling. So anyway, I hope this helps somebody, and be looking out, because we are going to make some different ones. I do still have a lot of Christmas paper, so we'll be making a bunch of those, and birthdays and various things. And I will also continue doing the quilling, because, you know, it's a paper craft and my paper's already out, so it makes it easy. But thanks for joining me, guys. I appreciate you. I appreciate my new and old subscribers, and I really look forward to your feedback. Anything that helps me get better at this. I know I'm not as polished as some people, but that's okay. That's just my style. So anyway, till next time, guys. Happy crafting.